disciples of the divine. This is where it all starts. Brian's the engine, JoJo's the heart, taking the word out to the world. DOD's on a mission. I need all the boys and girls. Take a seat.
Then we got to the Bible. God separated them because they were trying to basically make a stairway to heaven through the Tower of Babel. And we talked about that. That's now bueno. So basically the way we start is this is in Genesis chapter 11, verse 10 through 26. Even after Babel, God was still weaving his plan. From Shem's line stretched a family tree, Azareth, Peleg, Serg, Nor, and then a man came named Terah. So Terah is a man that was born, and he had 3 sons: Abram, Nor, and then Haran, who died too young and left a son named Lot. Right? So these are 2 names that we're going to remember a lot. It's going to be Abram and Lot, right? His nephew.
Wait, the guy's name was what?
Who?
You said he had 3 sons?
So, yeah. So Terah had 3 sons: Abram, Nor, and Haran. And then Haran died, and he left his son behind named Lot.
Yeah, and then Abram took care of him.
Well, they're all like Middle Eastern, so that's how that goes.
That's a great explanation.
Yeah, it's, they do have funny names, but it's cool though, right? Like Josue. Right? No, it's not. All right, calm down. He's imagining your drinks are good. It's crazy. The family carried on a promise, although they didn't know it yet, right? There was still a promise being played out. They all lived in Ur of the Chaldeans, is a city bursting with wealth, idols, and temples filled with smoke. But the tragedy struck. Haran died, leaving Lot fatherless. Terah gathered Abram, Sarai, Nor, and Lot. He set out for Canaan, but when they reached Haran, they stopped and settled there. Terah died in Haran, and the family stood in a crossroad between their old world and then what God's unfolding in front of them, right? So you have a father that takes care of his kids, and he's on his way out because the city is wicked, right? Ur was known to be a city that was idolizing false gods. So the point of that being is, there's going to be a terrible example, but if we go to a third world country or another country around the world, and then they're idolizing someone that isn't Jesus Christ, obviously I don't think we would partake in that because we don't believe what they believe. Does that make sense, guys? Like, we're not going to go bow down to Buddha, right? You guys aren't going to bow down to Muhammad, but you guys live in somewhere in the Middle East, or maybe you guys live in somewhere in India at the time, right? Just an example. Does that make sense? But your God is who? Amen. That was an easy one. Sometimes. And then God speaks. When we get to chapter 12, verses 1 through 4, into the moment where God voices broke through. He's speaking to Abram at the time, right? He hasn't changed his name yet. Leave your country, your relatives, and your father's household. Go to the land that I will show you. I will make you into a great nation. I will bless you and make you famous, and you will be a blessing. I will bless those who bless you and curse those who threaten to and curse those who treat you with contempt. And and all the families of the earth will be blessed through you. At the time, Abram was 75 years old to be believed. He packed everything he had, his servants, his livestock, Sari, Lot, and he walked away from away from the gods of stone, into the desert and into the unknown. So what I find so interesting is that God spoke to Abraham in a tent at the age of 75. Can you imagine that? 75. How strong is a man that's 75? How much endurance do you believe that a man that's 75 to go? Endurance is like stamina, like strength. A lot at 75? You think if I told your grandpa at 75 to go walk 20 miles, you'd be up for it? Oh, God.
Hey, man. Can't do that.
You got to cut that out. You got to cut that one out.
You're about to comment, why is he laughing?
Exactly. This is, yeah. But, yeah, you didn't have to do that. That was a setup, bro. That was the neatest setup.
My grandpa did it. Yeah, no, he still has them. Well, not as much.
But he's an older guy, right? I mean,
At 75, I don't know if he could do 20 miles, but he would have done some good 5 miles.
5 miles? Really? That's impressive, dude.
Grandpa's 96 right now.
Still kicking.
I mean, he'll walk to the corner and back, but
But still, 96 to walk around the corner?
Yeah, but at 75, right?
Yeah.
He would do, what are they called? The athletics? What are they called?
Oh, calisthenics?
Calisthenics.
Yeah.
Sit outside and raise his legs,
Yeah, and then
his arms. He wouldn't jump, but he'll do the jumping jack thing.
Eeker.
Ain't no way you pay for the food, you big.
That's on camera.
Okay for the bro-
That's on camera.
Right, let me tell you something. So yesterday, I got the new crumbles like week, right? And then I told her, we're going to music class. I'll save you a piece. In the span of 10 minutes, he's like, okay, can I come over? And I was like, okay, like, I don't know, like, my mom's in bed. I was in, like, pajamas or whatever. And then I was like, yeah. And then not even 2 minutes later, my mom's like, oh, Hennessy's Eaker's already outside. I bet she was on the way as she was asking me once I told her I was going to give her crumbles.
I was in my aunt's house, that's why.
Where's your aunt? Oh, that was just a while?
He was asking you, and he already left the house.
He didn't want me to give him the one piece. He wanted to try every single one.
You heard about the drinks, and he was like, "I'm there."
I'm there. He's actually kind of mad that there's no food here. He's like, they set me up.
No. Do you want to read it?
No.
The church believe it? Okay, so then what's the church believe it?
All right. All right. So. All right. Oh, okay. All right.
Oh.
All right.
Okay, so he died. Oh, at 75 he was told.
He didn't die at
I
75.
know. At 75 he was told.
But it's interesting to state, right? Though, like Abram lived 75 years before he encountered God.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, like, I always found that interesting because 75 years later, and then God's like, I need you to come work with me to do something. But I'll make sure it's worth your while. I don't think many people get that, like, treatment from God. It's mostly like, follow me and
Make it so.
yeah, like that. Like that's the end of the conversation. It's follow me. But for Abram, it was like, follow me and I'll make you famous and the world will be blessed from your descendants, which is
At 75.
at 75.
No kids.
Well, yeah, that's the worst part. You ain't have no kids, right? At 75 with no kids,
He had been trying for like.
him and his wife's probably mad. Like, we're never gonna have any.
She thought she didn't have any. She wasn't gonna have any.
I know.
Special on the Bible.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. She didn't want to. She thought it was funny. Dude, being that old and getting jiggy is crazy. I can't.
So many things you gotta edit out of this.
We're just gonna cancel this.
He's like, we're not gonna talk about.
Imagine Leave that over to get it to you. Cut.
All right.
It's still, that's still old.
All right. So Abraham is 75 years old, right? Just to catch you up to speed. Egron, you know this story, right? Because we talked about it a few times. All right. Then we go into Genesis chapter 12, verses 6 through 9. We see Abram wandered through Canaan. Everywhere he looked, altars of false gods, stone pillars, shrines, and idols. What is that? What is that to you guys? We got altars of false gods, stone pillars, shrines, and idols. Sounds like a whole lot of blaspheme, right? Because they're worshiping God that's not God. They're worshiping people that don't exist, in my book, right? So, but Abram built something different, an altar for Yahweh, the living God who called unto him, and each pile of stone marked a holy ground. Here is where the true God is worshipped. Amen. Then we get into Genesis 12, verse 10 through 20. But faith was never easy. Ain't that just a bar by itself? Faith was never easy. Famine hit. Do you guys know what famine is? This is a constant thing that we see in the Bible, is that famine is hitting, right? Famine means that there's a shortage of food, right? So there's just not enough food. There's not enough crumble cookies for everybody. That's a famine, right? So not enough imaginary drinks for all of us to say that they're hitting. That's a famine, right? The promised land turned into a burden, right? Because God promised them that there will be a promised land. Now, to carry that promise out becomes a whole lot more hectic. It's like if God puts a promise in your life and then, well, this ain't what you signed up for. You guys ever had that feeling? You start doing something and then you're just like, I don't think this is it, right? It becomes a burden. God starts to ask from you things that you weren't expected to be asked from. Right? Worst part is sometimes we feel like we're being saved from something we don't want to be saved from, right? But we got to understand that God's plan is a whole lot better than our own. Amen. Abram went to Egypt desperate for survival. That really hit me. He was desperate for survival. Fear gripped him. Sarai was beautiful. That's his wife. Now, Pharaoh, this isn't the same Pharaoh Jacob, right? Or Joseph. Pharaoh is somebody who rules over Egypt. Does that make sense to you guys? So it's like if I go up to the king of Egypt, right, and sort of talk to him directly, but then his descendants, aka his kids or whoever takes the throne after him, is also named Pharaoh. So I don't want you guys to mix that up. That's the only reason I'm saying this. Because we're going to hear about a lot of pharaohs since we're still in Genesis. So who is Sarai? Do y'all remember who that is? That's Abram's wife. So imagine this. Abram shows up to Egypt. He's got his wife with him. He has his nephew Lot, right? And what does he say? She's a beautiful woman. She's older though, obviously. And Pharaoh looked at her and says like, yo, she's gorgeous. And what does Abram do? That's my sister. Y'all remember this story? That's my sister. He says his wife is his sister. So what does Pharaoh do? He says, all right, that's mine. God don't like that. Right? Now other girls are like, what? Yeah, nah, that's weird. Imagine your husband saying, nah, this is my sister.
Oh, my ears okay?
Right? I'd be upset. I'd be hurt. That's my brother. I'd be like, girl, you don't. That's not what brothers do.
He was a snake. I'm still processing.
Yeah, exactly. So they show up. You've been walking with this man for the last couple days, couple weeks, right? You just left your home. You were comfortable. Now he's calling your sister. I mean, I can only imagine, right? But what did he do? He did it out of fear. The fear of what? Death. He thought,
Kill him.
they're going to kill me and take her.
Take her. Yeah. They're still gonna take her.
Yeah. But what happens? Pharaoh took her into his palace, right? So he's like, that's my girl. And then once she got into the palace, God struck Pharaoh's household with plagues until the truth was filled. Now, to conceal a marriage in biblical times, one must lay with each other, right? You guys know what I'm trying to say. But they didn't get a chance to. Every time it was about to happen, something came up, right? Like every single time. And then he's wondering what's going on, right? Like, why can't we just finalize this agreement, right? Basically, Pharaoh's like, she's down, I'm down. What's going on here? And God's like, Hit him with the that ain't you. Y'all seen that commercial? This is Welcome to My House. He's like, Those words got out. This might not make it up to the YouTube. This is more just for the laugh at the end of the day. But so now these plagues, a plague being hit, it could be like diseases. It could be, we see that a lot to happen to Egypt. This is the first time we hear about it, but this isn't the last time we're going to hear about it. We're going to hear about it again when we get to Joseph. Pharaoh was confronted by Abram. So then, vice versa. Pharaoh confronted Abram and says, "Why did you lie? Right? Now take your wife and get out of here. Like, take this girl. I don't want her. Right? Because this is going to cause havoc in my own household, disrupting the peace." So Abram left Egypt ashamed, but still chosen. This is the beautiful thing. Abram messed up, right? And even then, God gave him enough grace to be able to continue his promise. Meaning that if God promises you something, it's really hard to fumble that bag. You know what I'm saying? So if God is speaking to you to do something, and you can try to run away as fast as you can, but he will meet you in the same road that you're trying to run away from him on. And I just think that's a beautiful thing. I love the story of Abraham. And then we get to chapter 13. Back in Canaan, Abram and Lot's herd grew so large that they couldn't share the land. So they were given a land in Canaan, and that's where they settled in for a temporary piece of time. And God's blessings, right? I don't know if you guys ever heard this, but when you ask somebody like, "How are you doing?" they go, "Highly blessed and highly favored." Right? That's like such a Christian thing to say, and it just means that God has favor in your life, meaning He's not asking from you, but He is blessing you, right? Like you're doing what God's requested, and there is a surplus. So their shepherds quarreled over the grass and water. Abram said, "Let's not fight. Let's choose the land you want, and I'll take the other." Right? So there's two oppositions. They're at the meet at the crossroad, right? And there's one land to the left that looks high grass. It's got water flowing, right? It looks great. And then you have the other side, and it's full of rocks, mountains, right? And he goes, "Instead of fighting between you and me, Lot, his nephew, you'll pick, and then I'll take the other." Right? Lot goes, "Okay, as you wish." I call the nice one. I call the nice one, and then Abraham says, "Okay, no problem." Right? No problem whatsoever. So they separate. They get accommodated in their new situation. Lot chooses the lush Jordan Valley near Sodom. Abram was left with the rocky hills. But God spoke again. Now God is speaking to Abram, and he goes, look around you, the north, the south, the east, the west, all the land around you. As far as you can see, I will give to your descendants forever. Right? So Abram built another altar. One night, Abram stood under the desert sky, thousands of stars buried overhead, meaning that there's 1,000 stars in the sky. And God says, count them. If you can, that's how many descendants you will have. Can someone count all the stars in the sky? So if I tell you to count all the stars and I'm going to give you that many kids, what will you say?
Pass.
Pass. So he's like, we got 3. We're done. Huh? Double it and give it to the next person. Yeah, exactly. Right. I don't know about that one, champ. Abram believed in the Lord. He's like, oh, okay. Is this what you're going to do? And God counted him righteous because of his faith. That's a beautiful thing. So he wasn't counted righteous because of his actions. Right? He wasn't called righteous because he knew how to preach. He wasn't called righteous because he knew how to pray. He wasn't called righteous because he knew how to I don't know, how he treated people, essentially. He was called righteous because he had faith in God, faith in the one, right? And the one that started everything and the one that's going to end everything. And that faith is what's going to take us a lot further. And Abram's a powerful depiction of it. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? Now, then God made a covenant. Animals were cut out into, laid opposites of each other, and the ancient signs were sign of an unbreakable oath. As Abram fell into a deep sleep, a thick darkness came, and then a smoky fire pot with a blazing torch passed through these pieces. God himself walked the covenant path to, and this is quotations, to your descendants I gave this land, from Egypt to the Euphrates. And then the promise was sealed, right? Now this is what's really interesting. It says that the legacy into translation, from the flood, humanity climbed into after the flood, humanity tried to climb to God in pride, and then God scattered them. But God's plan was never to climb up. It was always for him to come down. Through Seth's line, through Shem, through Terah, came Abram, the man God chose to start a nation, a covenant, and ultimately the line of the Messiah. From Noah's survival to Babel's confusion to Abraham's call, the story of redemption is narrowing down to one family, and from that family, one day will come the savior of the world. Next week we'll talk about faith being tested, because that's about 12 chapters. So that's from Genesis 12 all the way to Genesis 25. And that's Abraham's story. And if you guys don't remember, I think last time we did Genesis, that took like 3 weeks just to really like chew that up. But I'll try to find a way to make it like an hour or so. But that's what we got for today. I hope you guys enjoyed. It wasn't that long, but I'm just trying to make sure it's digestible for you guys, right? And for you too, I think this is just recaps.